yesterday we talked about Washington taking office, his vice president getting inaugurated, that they'll call him Mr. President, that Judiciary Act setting up the number of members of the court system, setting up the cabinet, and Hamilton's financial plan due to the economic problems the country had. And the financial plan, part of it was to create a national bank. Okay, well that leads to a huge argument and discussion on how to interpret the Constitution. So that's where we're at today. And these two pictures right here are Thomas Jefferson on the left and James Madison on the right. Dixon, what are you doing? So Jefferson and Madison, they had kind of the same opinion with each other, but they did not have the same opinion as Hamilton. Okay? Jefferson and Madison did not think there should be a bank. Why? What did they say about that? Come on in. What did they say about it, national bank? Caitlin?
It discouraged the concentration of power in federal.
Well, that's what they talk about the Constitution, but what did they say about a national bank? Look on 297 under that, interpreting the Constitution. What did Jefferson and Madison say about, what did they argue? What was their point? How come they said, they told Hamilton that there shouldn't be a bank, but how did they argue that and get their point across? Ruby?
They thought it would be too powerful.
They thought the government would be too powerful and that the government really had no right to set up a bank, because it said in the Constitution, which is our government, they say, it says absolutely nothing about giving the government the power to set up a bank. And if we do that, the government's going to be too powerful. And so they said, no, this shouldn't happen because it doesn't say it in the Constitution. Okay, by listening to what they say, how do they interpret the Constitution then? How do they look at the Constitution and interpret the way it should be read? How should it be read? What did they write? They have a specific thing that they even stated. Andrew?
On that, since the Constitution doesn't have a mention of national bank, therefore the government can't create one.
Right, which is what we've got up there right now. But how did they think the Constitution should be read? What did they believe about it? Caitlin?
That the Constitution's writers had tried to make the document general enough so that it would be flexible.
No, they didn't want it to be flexible, no. I am almost the opposite of what flexible is. Ruby?
They felt the Constitution was very strict and thought anything that wasn't mentioned in it shouldn't happen.
Right. They had a very strict interpretation of the Constitution, meaning almost word for word. So, they thought whatever was word for word in the Constitution, that's it. No more, no less. And there is no mention of the government being able or allowed to create a national bank, so they said it shouldn't happen. And they argued this over and over and over again. Okay? And it caused huge debate. Okay? But Hamilton disagreed completely with them. It was part of his national financial plan that there should be a bank. Okay, so here's Jefferson and Madison. Hamilton, and these guys aren't just alone. They've got other people. These are kind of their leaders. Hamilton's different. So, since he thinks there should be a bank, how does he interpret the Constitution? When he says, no, you guys, you're looking at the Constitution completely wrong. Andrew?
Broader, flexible.
He has a more broad interpretation of the Constitution, loose, flexible. When something's flexible, you can bend it, twist it, manipulate it, right? So he says you can kind of manipulate the Constitution into making it kind of how you want it to be, almost. And because of that, we should be able to have a bank. And the government should be able to create a bank. And then he points out a specific area within the Constitution that really makes it so you can interpret it flexible. We we had a writing assignment about it at one point. Well, the answer, some of you didn't come up with the right answer, but what specific area in the Constitution makes it so that it can be flexible or bendable? Is that
The elastic clause.
the elastic clause? There is a spot in the Constitution, in section Article 1, Section 8, maybe, I don't know what section it is, but I believe it's Article 1. It's called the elastic clause, and it's also known as the necessary and proper clause. Because in the Constitution, it says, according to the elastic clause, the government has the power to do whatever is necessary and proper for the government. Okay, that's what it says. It says that in the Constitution. The government has the power to do anything that's necessary and proper for the government. So Hamilton argues it's necessary that we have a bank. Therefore, the government can make a bank. Therefore, it's in the Constitution. Jefferson and Hamilton say, no, 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 it's not in there. I don't see anything about a national bank. And then Hamilton says, yes, it's necessary we have a bank. You can see both sides. And it just depends on the point of view that you believe in, and if you are a more flexible type of a person, or if you are more strict on the Constitution. And maybe certain parts of it you're more strict than the others. Okay, so these guys that were all part of the whole Founding Fathers, they are the ones that were part of it. Now we have to discuss how do we interpret it, and it was a huge deal. Who won the debate on the national bank? Hamilton. Our first national bank, Bank of the United States, was set up in 1791. So you can imagine Jefferson and Madison not so happy, but it was necessary that we have it. The bank was a good thing. And if you ever want to take a look over at 296, it shows how banks actually work the right way. I mean, you all know that you can throw money in there and stuff, but that page shows you really how to analyze it a little bit better if you want to take a look at that. So, any questions on anything over this part of the notes? Speak now. Okay, good. All right, I want you to clear your desk. We're going to take that quiz.